The long-simmering shadow war between Israel and Iran has erupted into open conflict in June 2025, bringing Israel's unconfirmed nuclear arsenal to the forefront of global concern. In response to what it perceives as an imminent nuclear threat from Tehran, Israel has launched a sustained air campaign, targeting dozens of Iranian military and nuclear-related sites. Using advanced fighter jets, Israeli forces have struck deep inside Iran, aiming to dismantle the infrastructure that they believe could produce a bomb. These aggressive actions have been met with fierce retaliation, as Iran has launched waves of missiles and drones at Israeli cities and military bases, turning a decades-long covert struggle into a direct and bloody confrontation. This conflict serves as a stark, real-world case study for why Israel's nuclear readiness is so critical to its strategy. With Iranian missiles causing explosions over Tel Aviv and Israeli strikes reportedly killing top Iranian military and nuclear personnel, the potential for escalation is immense. Israel's conventional military superiority is being tested, and the nation faces a determined enemy with significant reach. In this context, the nuclear arsenal acts as the ultimate backstop. It is the unspoken threat that deters Iran and its allies from launching an all-out existential assault on Israel for fear of provoking a response that would be unimaginably devastating. The readiness of this arsenal is paramount. The direct attacks on Iranian nuclear facilities, such as the one at Natanz, have raised the stakes to a terrifying new level. The International Atomic Energy Agency has warned of the acute danger of radiation release from these damaged sites, which could cause a regional environmental catastrophe. Israel's willingness to take such a high-risk action demonstrates its profound conviction that a nuclear-armed Iran is a threat that cannot be tolerated. Israeli officials have stated that the attacks will continue until the nuclear threat is dismantled, showing a resolve that is undoubtedly backed by the confidence provided by their own secret arsenal. The ongoing conflict highlights the logic of the Samson option. While Israel would never want to use its nuclear weapons, their existence allows it to take bold and risky conventional actions that it might otherwise avoid. The knowledge that it possesses an ultimate guarantee of survival emboldens its military and political leaders. It allows them to absorb retaliatory strikes and continue their campaign, believing that their enemies will ultimately be deterred from crossing a final red line. The 2025 conflict is a dangerous dance on the edge of a precipice, where Israel's silent nuclear capability is the most important piece on the board, shaping every move and calculation. A significant source of tension in the 2025 conflict is the sharp disagreement between Israel and its closest ally, the United States, over the true status of Iran's nuclear program. This divergence in intelligence assessments has created a dangerous gap in strategy. Israeli intelligence, specifically the Mossad, has concluded that Iran is on the verge of nuclear capability, potentially as little as 15 days away from being able to produce a bomb. This alarming assessment is what has driven Israel's decision to launch its preemptive military campaign, believing that the window to act is closing rapidly. For Israel, the threat is immediate and existential. In stark contrast, the official United States intelligence assessment presents a much different picture. In March 2025, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard testified before Congress that Iran is not actively pursuing the construction of a nuclear weapon. The United States' view is that while Iran has the knowledge and much of the material, it has not made the final political decision to build a bomb. American intelligence estimates that Iran is still 1 to 3 years away from being able to produce and deliver a viable nuclear weapon. This longer timeline suggests that there is still time for diplomacy and containment, a strategy that is directly at odds with Israel's urgent military action. This intelligence gap is further complicated by political divisions within the United States government itself. While the intelligence community, led by Director Gabbard, advocates for caution, President Donald Trump has publicly contradicted his own intelligence director. President Trump has sided more with the Israeli assessment, insisting that Iran does have nuclear weapon capability and is considering joining Israel's military efforts. This internal United States disagreement has sent mixed signals to the world, undermining diplomatic efforts and emboldening Israel's hardline stance. The lack of a unified message from Washington has made a volatile situation even more unpredictable. The difference in timelines is not just an academic debate. It has life and death consequences. Israel's actions are based on its belief that the threat is imminent, while the United States has urged restraint, fearing a wider regional war. The United States has moved naval assets like the USS Nimitz Carrier Strike Group to the region to support Israeli defense, but has stressed that this support does not extend to offensive operations against Iran. This leaves Israel acting largely alone, driven by a perception of danger that its most powerful ally does not fully share. This fundamental disagreement over the nature and timing of the Iranian threat lies at the very heart of the current crisis. Israel's nuclear status remains one of the most sensitive and controversial issues in international relations. The policy of ambiguity, while successful for Israel's security, creates a fundamental tension in global non-proliferation efforts. Critics argue that it represents a significant double standard. While nations like Iran and North Korea face crippling sanctions and international pressure over their nuclear ambitions, Israel is allowed to maintain a powerful undeclared arsenal outside the framework of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. This perceived hypocrisy undermines the legitimacy of the treaty and makes it harder to convince other nations to abide by its rules. The international community is deeply divided on how to address this issue. The United Nations and the International Atomic Energy Agency have repeatedly called for the establishment of a weapons of mass destruction-free zone in the Middle East. But such efforts have always stalled on the question of Israel's arsenal. Israel insists that such a zone can only be discussed after a comprehensive peace is achieved with all its neighbors. For Arab states and Iran, this position is unacceptable. They argue that regional peace is impossible as long as one nation holds a monopoly on the ultimate weapon. This diplomatic deadlock ensures that the region remains a nuclear flashpoint, with deep-seated mistrust on all sides. The ongoing conflict in 2025 has brought these long-standing concerns to a boiling point. The attacks on nuclear facilities, as warned by International Atomic Energy Agency Director General Rafael Grossi, risk a disaster with severe radioactive consequences for the entire region and beyond. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has cautioned that the conflict could ignite a fire no one can control. These warnings highlight the extreme dangers inherent in a region where nuclear capabilities are present, but not subject to international norms or verification. The silence and ambiguity that have long served Israel's security interest now contribute to a global fear of uncontrollable escalation. Ultimately, Israel's nuclear secret is a paradox. It is a source of immense national strength and security, but it is also a source of regional instability and global controversy. The policy of ambiguity has successfully deterred enemies for decades, but it has also prevented a more open and honest dialogue about nuclear disarmament in the Middle East. As long as Israel's arsenal remains in the shadows, unconfirmed but universally understood to exist, it will continue to be a subject of intense debate, suspicion, and fear. The unspoken truth of Israel's bomb is a powerful force that shapes the destiny of the Middle East and presents a profound challenge to the world.